In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the image of women began to increasingly be associated with the figure of the femme fatale, a powerful, seductive, and dangerous woman capable of leading men to their downfall. In art, this figure was often portrayed as a bearer of evil, a temptation that destroyed those who fell under her spell. However, in Angel Zarraga's painting, The Woman and the Puppet, we see something different. Here, the woman is not only a dominant figure, but also appears to control a puppet with her hands, a mysterious clown with a look of terror, as if he is silently pleading not to be there. This clown is not just a mere object in her hands, he is her lover. A real person is behind this small costume, being dominated by a young woman who seems to have her way with him. But why would this woman have her lover dressed in such a curious disguise? What led this man to become a puppet in the hands of this woman? In this video, I'll tell you one of the strangest stories I've ever read, and I assure you it's not at all what you're thinking. It's much worse. Let's begin. Before discussing the painting, I must start by talking about the novel by French writer Pierre Louis, La Femme et le Patin, which shares the same name as this painting, and also served as its inspiration. It is a story that delves into the depths of obsession, power, and human degradation. The protagonist of the novel is Don Mateo Diaz, a mature, respected, and wealthy man who leads a well-ordered and controlled life. However, everything changes when he meets Concha Perez, a young civilian woman of extraordinary beauty and unpredictable character. From their first encounter, Mateo becomes ensnared in a web of desire and fascination, willing to do anything to win her affection. Concha, for her part, embodies the archetype of the femme fatale. Fully aware of her power over men, especially Mateo, she uses it to manipulate him with cruelty. Throughout the story, Mateo becomes a mere tool in her hands, enduring constant humiliation in the hope that Concha will eventually accept him as her lover. What begins as an attraction quickly turns into a devastating obsession for Mateo. Concha keeps him in a state of desperation, toying with his emotions and leaving him in uncertainty. Blinded by his desire, he continuously degrades himself, losing all sense of dignity and pride. She flirts with other men in front of him, openly despises him, and subjects him to trials that only deepen his suffering. In this context, Angel Zarraga, a prominent Mexican painter of the 20th century, found in this novel a source of inspiration to create one of his most intriguing works. Fascinated by the complex themes of power, desire, and degradation that permeate the story of Don Mateo and Concha, Zarraga decided to reinterpret this narrative through his art. At first glance, this painting might lead us to think that it depicts a scene related to the circus or some sort of performance where a clown entertains an audience. However, this image is quite the opposite of what we might assume. Instead of representing fun and entertainment, the clown in this work symbolizes the degradation of a man under the desires and manipulation of a woman, literally becoming her puppet. The woman, inspired by the character of Concha Perez from Pierre Louis's novel, is presented as a dominant and controlling figure. She is almost completely nude, which again brings us to the idea of the femme fatale, an archetype of a woman who uses her beauty and sexuality as weapons of power and control. In other videos, I've discussed the different paintings that portray women in this way, as it was a recurring theme in art from the 17th to the 19th century. The woman's clothing, though minimal, is laden with symbolism. The luxurious Manila shawl draped over her forearms reflects the Spanish culture in which this scene is set, as it was common during that time for women to wear such accessories. She wears a necklace with a skull pendant and rings on each of her fingers, further emphasizing the idea that the woman is a bearer of evil and that her beauty is deadly to any man who desires to possess her. Again, I apologize for having to censor certain parts of the painting, but YouTube's policies do not allow me to show the full painting, even if it is artistic nudity. In the description, you'll find the uncensored painting. Her expression is calm, almost indifferent, suggesting that she is completely accustomed to this dynamic of power. There is no trace of empathy or doubt in her face, which reinforces her role as the dominator. The clown in the painting is undoubtedly the most unsettling figure. Contrary to what we might expect from a clown, usually associated with the joy and humor, this clown has an expression of terror and suffering. His face, painted white with exaggerated and dark features, looks more like a mask than a real face, creating the impression that he has lost his identity and become a mere object in the woman's hands. The clown's posture is submissive and defeated. His knees are bent and his body slumps toward the ground, as if he is about to collapse or being forced to kneel. This posture reinforces the idea of his complete submission to the woman's will. For someone viewing this painting for the first time, it might seem that a child is hiding under that clown mask. However, if we look closely at the detail of the hands, we can see that they are the hands of an adult, not a child. Although his posture gives the impression that he is much shorter than the woman, the reality is quite different. His bent knees on the ground and large hands reveal that we are not looking at a child or a lifeless puppet. The clown's costume, which in other contexts might be seen as cheerful or festive, here takes on a grotesque air. The fabric, decorated with floral patterns similar to those on the woman's shawl, seems like a cruel mockery of his situation. It's a costume that has been imposed upon him, a symbol of how he has been stripped of his dignity and reduced to a mere object for the woman's pleasure. To be honest with you, I always thought I would never find a clown in a painting that made me feel as much as Stansic by Jan Matejko, or even Edward Hopper's clown in Soir Bleu. Both clowns in those paintings evoke a sense of distress and sadness, whereas in this painting, I see a deep sense of depersonalization and humiliation on the clown's face. Before we continue, I want to take a few seconds to remind you that on our website, you'll find this painting along with over 350 other historical paintings that you can use to decorate your home. Each product is completely handmade, ensuring that the quality of the painting is as faithful as possible to the original artwork. You even have the option to purchase a painting as a phone case, so in addition to protecting your device, you can carry a piece of art in your pocket. Shipping is free worldwide, so I invite you to check out the catalog on our website once you've finished watching the video. I'll leave the link in the description. After analyzing this painting, I can't help but reflect on how this work, created in a very different context and era, remains surprisingly relevant today. While the concept of the femme fatale belongs to a time when women were seen as dangerous and seductive figures capable of leading men to their downfall, in some ways, it seems that the situation hasn't entirely changed. In the age of social media, we see how some men continue to be enslaved by female beauty. With just a click, we can find examples of men humiliating themselves, ridiculing themselves, or doing anything to gain the attention of certain women. I want to clarify that I'm not against women showcasing their bodies on social media. The problem arises when we cross that fine line between appreciation and obsession. It's unsettling to see how this type of provocative content dominates current society, leading to behaviors and dynamics that aren't too different from what we see in this painting. Now I wonder, does this clown only represent Don Mateo Diaz? Or is it a representation of the modern man? A man trapped in the web of beauty and desire, willing to sacrifice and degrade himself to gain attention that, in many cases, never comes. It's curious how a story written over 200 years ago can so accurately reflect a current reality. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this painting in the comments and whether you share my opinion. I'm really interested in what you think. Please leave a like if you found this video interesting and subscribe so you don't miss out on 2 analyses like this every week. Don't forget to visit inspiraggio.com and follow me on my social media for more art content. See you in the next video. Goodbye.